Today is the day. That's right. We went from over 70 players down to 8 tomorrow, the Elite 8. We have 4 competitors up today that will be whittled down to 2. Hello, it's Gamestars League, and we are approaching our finals. I'm Andrew Guy. Joining me today is Eric Benemu. A very, very exciting week for us. $30,000 going to be given away over the next couple of days, Eric, and what a run it's been here at Gamestars.
Yeah, I can't believe we're almost it's almost over. It went by so quickly, and this is the last two players that we get today into that finals weekend, and I'm sure they're gonna give it their all today. But I'm just excited to see who the last two are, because the first six are incredible players.
It's crazy. This was not an invitational. This was an open format for Gamestars League. Anyone in the world could basically join up, but you had to work your way through the ranks to get to where we are. And as Eric was just saying, we started the week off with 16 players. We've taken away 2 every single day up till today. Those are the guys right there: Hugo, Inthrill, One Hive, Hunter, Eternity, Lucas, GSM, and Demas. But it's all about Broken, Beneficious, Demon Chocolate, and SB today. 2 of them will be working towards our finals this weekend, tomorrow and Sunday. It's going to be best of 7s all day. But first, they have to get through our 5 best of 5s today. SB and Beneficious, Broken, Demon Chocolate, players from all over the world: Ukraine, Cyprus, Russia, and the UK, which is what Gamestars is all about. And another thing, Eric, is our format, the cards that come into play here, which is going to help these 4 guys get through to that bracket.
Yeah, and someone that has really excelled in this format, I think, is SB. We know he works with Julesy as an analyst. He's also someone that has been in CRL for a long time, in mainly CRL East or Asia, how it was back in the day. And with these cards that we're seeing here, it's a lot of the obvious ones, right? The Elite Barbarians, the Mother Witch. Miner has been very strong, but I want to see if SB cooks up something special for specific opponents, or at least his first round coming in.
We saw that a lot yesterday. Players, actually the last couple days, where players would be gaming against their opponents, especially looking forward to maybe the most challenging opponent in their bracket. Yesterday, everyone was focusing on Abdullah Imad, the Lava Hound King of Gamestars League, and that did not fare well for him. Mega Knight back in the works. A bit surprising there that we haven't seen more Mama P.E.K.K.A with that Ram Rider deck up in the top. That has been one of the more popular, newer decks that we have seen this week. But Eric, it is all about playing through tough matchups here at GSL.
Yeah, and it's weird, like you say, that we haven't seen more P.E.K.K.A, because it seems like every time we watch P.E.K.K.A, it wins. So it's really odd that we don't actually see it more often. But yeah, you're gonna have to play through tough matchups. That's the way this bracket works. You cannot switch it up after round 1. So maybe if you prepare for your round 1, they doesn't match up as well in your round 2. You have to work through it.
That's right. You have to have 3 strong decks today, and you have to win with all 3 of them. 5 best of 5s coming your way. 2 players going to move on to our finals. But first, let's hear from our first set of competitors in Broken and Beneficious. So here we are, Broken Venefish's versus Cypress, and two very talented competitors. Venefish's faced off against two that are already going to be in finals this weekend in Hunter, and Broken out of it. A lot of experience and a lot of respect for his opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, he played against two players that already qualified into that final 8. So if he does qualify, I think we can say that that was the most stacked group out of all of them. And it goes to show that, you know, you can still qualify even if you have that tough road. He has everything going for him right now, just needs to focus on today, not what happened earlier, not how tough it was. And like you said, Broken has a lot of respect for his opponents, so I'm expecting good game plan. And that's usually the best thing you can do as a player, right? You respect them, you don't fear your opponents, but you do have respect, and that leads you to the best matchups and the best gameplay.
Exactly. Those matchups was something that he really talked about a good amount in his video there, speaking about how his opponent didn't know how to build tournament decks, which is very different than global. You know, he said, he's like, this might work in a global tournament, but this is not going to work in competitive play when you talk about CRL, GSL. things like that, you can't be as predictable, or you can't be running things like Three Musketeers when they're not meta. So Broken calls out his earlier opponents, and now today he's trying to make it through to our Elite Eight. Him and Veneficious here in game number 1, our first best of 5 today. And Eric, one of my favorite things you said this week is these aren't really $30,000 matches, but they kind of are. The moment that you are eliminated in these double elimination brackets, your chance at 30K goes right out the window. So there is a lot of pressure here.
There sure is. And Broken coming out with the deck that we haven't seen at all in Gamestars. This is a Gamestars first, and I think we've seen recruits, but we haven't seen recruits minor wall breakers ever. And I'm curious if he just feels comfortable with this deck, or if he's looking for a specific matchup, maybe not against Beneficious, maybe against SB, because in his video he said, I do expect to play SB if I move on to the next round.
Yeah, SB, a very, very talented player. He struggled a bit in his first day out against Abdullah Imad, and you saw he was a bit tilted by it, but he was able to play through it, and that's a big part of why he is such a talented player. You saw that he was able to understand the macro of the situation of those matchups, and while being a little frustrated, was able to play through them. So I'm sure both of these guys thinking a bit about SB. That is a very nice early mortar connection here.
Yeah, he mistimed the wall breakers a little bit. He tried to get the absolute perfect timing on the mortar so that when they split, the mortar misses both of them and gets no hits on it. But at that point, he risked it and it didn't really pay off. I'm not sure if he's going to risk it again. It's one of those interactions where you're like, okay, I tried it. It didn't work. Maybe I just play it safe at this point and relax and make sure I control this match. Because at the end of the day, in a match this close, 2 mortar hits is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a lot of matches be decided by less than 10 HP, less than 100 HP. Talk about a mortar shot, and that is big time. E-barbs to the back. Mortar connects again.
Yeah, it sure does. And he's playing very, very well. Beneficious is understanding exactly when to mortar. It seems like he always knows what is in Broken cycle, and that's a huge factor in playing mortar the right way. You need to know what's up next in your opponent's hands so that you have the best chance at getting that to connect, or at least forcing an overspend.
It's a really interesting deck here. You think maybe the idea is to get those Royal Recruits up, you get E-barbs behind and wall breakers way behind that to always get a clear path through to the tower, maybe minor in the back to chip away. But it is a very interesting deck, as you said, something we haven't seen yet at Gamestars, but not quite working out for Broken.
Yeah, the problem is he's going up against not only Log, but Fireball. So if it does get too tricky for him, and there are those recruits, there are the Elite Barbarians, and then some wall breakers come behind it, he can just Fireball everything. And at that point, Broken knew he had no shot. So I don't mind the deck, but in this matchup, it doesn't seem like the right choice.
And I really like the way that Beneficious played this first game, right? He let the game come to him. He got those aggressive mortars up in opportune moments. He never over-defended. And as you said, he always had that fireball in case that pile-up did happen, which is, I mean, I was thinking that might be what Broken was trying to accomplish with that deck, so I'm sure Beneficious was holding that fireball with purpose.
Yeah, it seemed like he was going, trying to pick up a completely different matchup. It seems like it would be better against something like P.E.K.K.A. Maybe he was looking for Mega Knight as well with that Inferno Dragon. Just no real use to anything in his deck in this matchup. But if he does get the correct one, I see it being a really, really strong deck.
Yeah, it could have a very, very favorable matchup against certain decks out there, and I'm really curious to see what else Beneficious has to bring to play. That's kind of his style. He's been kind of a more fast cycle control type of player. He's not like a big swing for the fences heavy deck type of guy, but also we didn't really see a lot of him. We haven't seen him since mid-April, whereas a lot of these other guys we've seen much more recently.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the meta has shifted since then, and we've seen that in these last couple of days. It's been a completely different set of decks when we talk about this to the early on stages of Gamestars. So I guess let's see what Broken is looking for. He's running the same deck back. Maybe it is something specific that he's expecting out of Beneficious, but for now, I'm not really sure if it's gonna work out. This might be a Fireball bait deck out of Beneficious, Mega Knight possibly, or in Electro Dragon. I'm not really sure what this is other than Lava at this point, Flying Machine and E-Drag.
Yeah, we've seen Electro Dragon maybe 2 times so far in this competition, and I always like to say the Electro Dragon is one of my favorite cards in the game. That Lava Hound, though, gets right in front of the E-Drag. A bit unfortunate there when you talk about interaction. And Eric, you being the Lava Master, do you kind of just let this push die on the vine now with that misplay?
Yeah, you kind of have to, and I think moving forward, he cannot have those pushes happen again. It was just too costly of a push. It is not something like wall breakers when you place them too early, or if you have a loon and a miner and the miner deploys a little bit late and the loon gets hit. This was a push that had E-Dragon, Mega Minion, a full lava, everything. That is a lot of elixir wasted. So I would like to see him be a little bit more patient with those lava hounds.
Definitely more patience would be advised here, but he gets away with one, it feels like, not taking too much damage there. Arrows coming out to take those wall breakers off the board. Miner here, maybe he eats the damage. No, Mega Minion does come down. As you see, Broken has a substantial elixir lead, probably going to set up with some recruits in the back. Nope, he goes zappies.
I would have taken that miner damage and started a lava of my own. I think your call was the correct one. Not sure why he was so worried about that minor damage, because you do have arrows. So the main damage dealer that you know is going to come out of Broken here is going to be the wall breakers, and you can always deal with that with a good set of arrows. So he can absorb a little bit of damage here, and he needs to be really careful. I'm not sure what ground units he has other than that cage.
Yeah, he goes miner in. Nice kite there to pull everything towards the Electro Dragon. That stun of the Electro Dragon, Eric, really creating a lot of space for Beneficious.
Yeah, it created a lot of playing room for him, and it really saved him the game, I think, because if not, those Elite Barbarians seemed like they were going to do a ton of damage on his tower. He needs to have a cage ready set up in the middle, and again, one recruit seems to slip by every time, and I'm not sure if he's going to E-Drag high or just let this go and have that lava. Yeah, he kind of had to. He didn't really have that much of a choice.
Miner goes to the back here. We get an aggressive E-Barbs in the left-hand lane. E-Barbs in kind out of Broken here. Fireball value in as well. Mega Minion plus Miner plus Pup on the right-hand side. That is a very nice bit of offense for Beneficious.
Yeah, that was a very smart play out of him. He kind of baited it out on the other end with the Elite Barbarians. He had him dry on Elixir as well, and he took advantage that the Mega Minion, not only was it going to hit, but it was going to tank for the Miner a little bit, and one Lava Pop stayed alive. And even though it doesn't seem like much, it is when this match is that close.
Yeah, that was a really beautiful swing in momentum for Beneficious. Now we see a lot of units piling up at the river by Broken here to try to play some defense, get back on offense, who he technically does have the lead right now, and more spell power. Now Beneficious has stolen the lead, but again, spell power is a factor, as is this recruit plus Zappy on the left-hand side.
Yeah, and he's basically gonna end up losing the left when we all expected him to be losing the right. He needs to arrows here on everything, but it might be too little too late. A miner and a fireball is more than enough damage there. I don't think he has anything to actually stop it, and unless a miracle happens here, which I don't expect it to, I would just miner fireball, and that's it.
And there it is. Wow. Wow, what a pickup there with the brawler. The zap comes in, and Beneficious almost pulls off a miracle there in the final moments. But you know, this has been kind of a tradition for this week, Eric, especially in our opening set and our winners bracket set, is back and forth battles going the distance.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything other than game fives all around the board. And he gets rid of this deck, which so far these two matchups, this one was a good matchup. He had a lot of ground units, and to be honest, Beneficious lava deck just didn't have enough for him to be able to actually create any pressure. And we saw it in another day. I'm not exactly sure whose it was. The lavas in the meta right now, they're a lot stronger when you can have that lava loon. It seems like the lava without the loon is just too slow in this current meta.
Yeah, the loon is actually really difficult to get to in the current meta when it's sitting behind that lava hound, mainly because fireball is the big spell at hand. So you have to find yourself holding that spell until the lava pops, the pups come up, then you want to fireball all of them plus the balloon. But that's really difficult to do timing wise, especially late in the game. And one thing, in case you guys are just joining us for the very first time at GameStars, every single competitor that competes has to bring 3 decks to the competition. They must win with all 3 decks. Those decks must have 2 unique cards in every single one, which means you can repeat 6 of the same cards. But that's why, if it is your first day here at GameStars, you'll hear Eric and I talking so much about matchup and how imperative it is.
Yeah, and there, I'm not really sure the Ice Wiz placement. Maybe he thought he was going to get both, but no, sir. The Ice Wiz just doesn't do any damage It's way too slow as well. And I really like that Beneficious is coming out with the archetype that we don't get to see very often, that bowler, which usually means every time you see bowler in Ice Wiz, it means there's a freeze coming up. And Broken going back to the same style deck.
Yeah, he goes right back to the same style deck after picking up a win. And yes, just like you said, that bowler usually comes with a freeze, a tornado. There's the Valkyrie there, there's the tornado to pull everything together, but already a massive amount of damage done on the left side.
Yeah, massive amount of damage, and he's fine on Elixir as well, and that's why he goes Elite Barbarians on the bridge. And even though they do get pushed back, they do so much damage every time that they hit that this bowler is basically gone off the board. So I think he's pretty happy with that, because now he has recruits, wall breakers, and everything else available to him.
Exactly, and that's exactly why you see that bait there. It is a -1 trade there for Broken, but now the biggest threat to his wall breakers, to his recruits, as you said, his Zappies, they are all in a better situation now with that bowler off the board, so you have to expect the Valkyrie will come down if he needs a ground tank. But right now, Broken just completely in control of this game.
Yeah, I do like what Beneficious is doing. Even though he's down on damage, a little bit down on Elixir, he's not getting hyper aggressive. He's not in one of those desperate states where, okay, I need to get some damage, let me try and get a push in, I'll freeze, I'll do whatever it takes. He waited till double Elixir, and now his deck is in a lot better position, in a lot better standing, and that is very, very smart out of him, because if he got over aggressive very early on, it could have cost him the whole game.
That flying machine has been a nuisance for him this entire game here, and you see the bowler going to turn back around, get on top of those E-barbs, which is really, really nice. Flying machine finally gets taken off the board after a good amount of minor damage comes in.
This is scary, though. He needs to get his recruits down really quick, nice, and there is the freeze.
Beautiful freeze there, going to help clean up a lot of those recruits. Not quite the damage that Beneficious would like, but you see that damage swinging in his favor after, about 3 minutes of nothing happening.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that I would like to point out there is he did a lot of damage, and Broken basically had every counter to that, right? He had his recruits in cycle, he had log in cycle, he had everything down. So when he doesn't have that, look at the amount of damage that he's taking, even though he's able to defend. At this point, if I'm Beneficious, I want to get him out of that cycle as quick as possible. So I do want to keep on pressuring as much as I can.
There you go, high Baby Dragon to keep that pressure up, get that flying machine off the board. A really nice fireball comes in here from Broken. And now that Valkyrie might have not played in the more opportune position. Would have been nice to go behind the tower there, turn that Valkyrie around, but still does work out. Now E-barbs plus wall breakers, right-hand side. Is there anything on the ground for it?
He might get a Valk in time. No, he doesn't, and that is a lot of damage. But he's actually not enough Elixir to graveyard on the left either. If he had enough Elixir at that point, I think he might have been able to take tower, because he was so dry. Broken had 2 Elixir only at that point, and it might have been better just to absorb all the damage on the right, maybe lose your tower and go in with a graveyard of your own. I don't think he would have lost it. I think he would have had like 100 or 200 and then just graveyard, but at this point I think it's too late.
Yeah, very just a really difficult position to be in here. You can see that Broken has just kind of turned the tide in his favor, and now Beneficious cannot get on offense.
Yeah, it's really, really complicated right now, and he's gonna have to freeze, which means that he decided to defend instead of freeze, which means that this push is actually not going to do anything. It's one of those situations where you kind of have to defend, but at the same time you don't have to, because you have to risk it at some point. When is your push coming in? When are you actually going to take this game? And he keeps defending, and it's putting him in a position where he can't actually get the push he needs.
Fireball comes in to defend. More skeletons on the tower, Eric. 430 to 124, now within spell cycle range. Wallbreakers come down. Too little, too late. As you just said, there's the graveyard, there's the log with the minor hit. Fireball comes down, and that is going to do it. This set is back in favor of Broken, who picks up game 2 and game number 3. What an insane back and forth there. Eric, you were kind of talking about freezes, defenses, min-maxing a little bit towards the end there. What did Beneficious need to do just a little bit differently?
You have to give up one of those minors, man. You have to, because yes, I understand you don't want it to get to spell range, but at the same time, you have to realize if you keep defending, you're gonna lose either way. So give it up, let it be in spell range, and risk your graveyard getting some good RNG with your freeze, getting tanked by the baby dragon. You have to go for it at some point. With 25-30 seconds left in extra time, just make it happen. Go on offense, go all in, push all those chips in, and see if it plays in your favor.
And I'm not sure if we saw a King Tower activation there from Beneficious at all. Those miners were kind of all over the board from Broken. And yes, those nados were used for defense or maybe to try to create some offense, but would have liked to see at least a little King Tower activation there to help clean up those miners. If that King Tower is activated, then you have the ability to neglect those miners just a little bit more, right? They're going to get cleaned off the board a little bit faster, and then maybe he can do what you're talking about, Eric, which is ignore a miner completely, get on offense, get that nado freeze combo in, all that big hitting stuff down at the exact same time, but every single time he allocated just enough elixir to defend, and Broken did a really good job of making him play out of sorts.
Exactly that. And you have to take advantage, like you said, when that miner is played where it is, you gotta activate King Tower. It will make a difference when you're playing against miners and you're playing against graveyards. Those are two big difference makers, especially in a match where sometimes you want to just let the miner be so you can go full on attack. And right now, if I'm Beneficious, the only thing I'm praying for is please don't tell me Broken is playing a poison deck, because if he is, that freeze is completely gone off the board. It means nothing.
Poison has not been a very popular spell for most of this meta, but it does seem to be rearing its head over the last week and a half or so. So we'll see if Broken does have that to respond to Beneficious's deck. And 2 up in favor of Broken. One more game and Beneficious moves down to the elimination bracket.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what he's bringing here. Mega Minion, Mother Witch, and Cage, 3 of the strongest cards I would say in the meta right now. The Mega Minion has been more and more prevalent as time goes by. It's been implemented in more lava decks. We've seen it in RG, and now the double witch combo that we saw a lot of yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's becoming more and more meta as time goes by.
Yeah, I mean, you heard the player kind of talk us through it yesterday, and I believe it was Lucas GSM. He was just saying how much he loves that double witch combo because it's kind of broken, because the fireball needs to be saved for that Mother Witch, and of course, if you fireball the Mother Witch, the Night Witch just gets free value. There's no poisons into play, so how do you beat the bats stacking up? And talk about bats stacking up with piggies, and that's just a lot of trouble. So I love the idea of the double witch combo, but you do have to execute with it still.
You sure do, and I want to see how he's gonna stop this right now. A nice Inferno Dragon, and I don't think he has any reset in this deck. So in worst case scenario, Beneficious can just freeze defensively, and that Inferno Dragon would get basically infinite value at this point. He's in a really good position with this deck right now.
Yeah, what a beautiful play on the right-hand side. He uses the freeze and the nado to get a bunch of damage in. Bowler's still there. Takes the Mother Witch off the board. Doesn't spawn too many piggies. And a very nice start to overtime here from our player from Cyprus.
This is a great matchup for him. I don't think he should lose this. And that was a very smart freeze out of him, because he knows that that Mother Witch was just going to spawn an infinite amount of skellies, of hoggies over and over again off of those skellies. But there's just too much splash and too much defense onto the graveyard for him to actually lose. And on the other end, I don't think there's good graveyard defense in general. You have the Mega Knight and you have the Witch, but it can all just get frozen, which it might do here. And yeah, that should be game.
Beautiful freeze there. That is game. Makes it look easy in game number 4. And you see the big breath there from Broken going, man, I just got to let that one go. As you said, very tough matchup. Maybe on paper, it might look like it's a better matchup, right? Mother Witch for the Skellies, Night Witch in the back. Bats are there to help. But as you said, the freeze, the great equalizer in that matchup. Beautifully played by Beneficious. And not only was he great with the freeze, great with the nado, but he created a ton of dual lane pressure by playing very smart defense.
Yeah, and on top, the nado just makes it so that Night Witch doesn't get enough value, because once it does spawn all those bats, it would get a ton of value usually. But with the baby dragon taking care of it, once those bats spawn, you just nado everything back, and you have so much splash to deal with everything else, that you're in a great position. On paper, like you said, it might not seem that bad, but once you get in the game and you start playing it, you realize there's not much I can do here. And now Broken is basically praying that Beneficious doesn't run the same style deck again.
Yeah, Broken, we saw him move right on through to our international finals group stage, where we're at on April 16th, where he played through Aslan and Big Spin, as you saw in his video. Of course, Beneficious had to work a little bit harder. We saw him coming out weeks ago and securing that in Group A as well back on May 10th, when he also beat Predator and Roofy.
Yeah, it seems like the players with a lot of matches have some sort of an advantage here, in my opinion. This is a format and a play style, mind games and everything, that the more you play, you just get so comfortable, that I think all the players that really moved on through winning their group have taken a little bit of an adjustment period coming into this meta and coming into this week. It seems like a little bit of a slower start for the winners of each group.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, while it was a harder journey for a lot of players, as you were just saying, like Beneficious, that experience has been really, really helping out this week, specifically in competition. So a lot of red to deal with on his side of the map. Brawler keeps that Mega Knight at the leap there. E-Barb's going to help clean everything up, but that Mother Witch is causing problems, as she does.
Yeah, and this is a very, very nice start for Broken. Even though he didn't get that much damage, you can tell Beneficious was very much on his back foot, did not feel comfortable at all in that defense. And on top of everything, he's up almost 3 elixir. Just don't leak, my friend. There you go. He knew he was up, and that's what I like to see. It's very frustrating for me as a coach. One of the most frustrating things, when players don't realize they're up on elixir 3 or 4 and they just start leaking.
That is really one of the worst ways to use your advantage in the game. I mean, you talk about Clash Royale, and what do they always say? What is the tip? The key to victory is using elixir efficiently, I think, is the tip that's been in the game for 5 years. It's a tip for a reason, man.
Yeah. I mean, and it's been there forever, like you said. And it's just about, that is like, those are the small little things that you see out of the best players. They always know where they stand with elixir, and it's not an easy thing to do. Your brain is really, you know, trying to focus on 1,000 different things, scenarios that are coming up, but it seems like you can never really lose track of that specific thing.
And talking about 1,000 different things, talk about 1,000 of Broken's units on top of Beneficious's tower. Piggies, Mega Minions, Skeletons, Mother Witch behind, nothing but trouble. And now we see Beneficious going on offense, a very aggressive offensive push with a Lava plus Mega at the bridge. And it's going to be very difficult for this to really get any substantial damage.
Yeah, I think I get where you're going with it, Beneficious. Time is running out. You know that you can't defend the graveyard, but there was no shot a Lava Mega Minion push on the bridge was actually gonna do anything. There was Night Witch, there was Cage, there was Mega Minion on the other side. Unfortunate matchup. He had a great one, the past one that got him here, but this one was one-sided the whole way through.
Yeah, it really did feel like the matchups were in favor of Beneficious throughout this set, but the gameplay leaned a little bit in favor of Broken, and I think that's why he was able to do what he did in those games, because Beneficious, like you said, he had a really good matchup a couple of times, and obviously the first game, maybe they're both still getting their feet wet, but it did feel like from that point on, Broken was kind of just in control of the games that required a little bit more of, let's say, skill cap.
Yeah, and the Lava has struggled in this stage of Gamestars. It really has. I don't think we've seen a Lava deck be very successful. We sure didn't yesterday. For Abdullah, he had probably the roughest day out of anyone. And before then, the Lava decks that we've seen haven't had much success. And again here, 0-2 with Lava.
I know. I'm wondering if, you know, what you're saying is really just kind of the key to that, Eric, and it's that, like, you have to play Lava Loon. Obviously, Abdullah did play Lava Loon yesterday, but he played through 100-0 matchups, and they went very, very poorly for him. I think that that was expected for him, whereas other players playing Lava Loon, like Veneficious coming out with Lava Loon today, it wouldn't have been predictable. It wouldn't have been something that his opponent would be gearing up for, and maybe it would have just been a little bit more effective than this Lava Miner E-Drag deck. As you can see, 0% win rate and a 4.4 clip to come all the way back around. That's a pretty heavy deck, man.
I was just about to say that usually the lava decks don't go over 4 or 4.1. That's really where you want to stand, and I think it got really expensive for him because instead of a Zap, he had E-Dragon, and instead of the Barbarians or the Skarmy, he went Elite Barbarians. So he went with the heaviest option in each one, but at the same time, none of those cards actually create any pressure for him. So it's a heavy deck that usually when you see a 4.4, 4.5, 4.6, it's one of those decks where you're like, okay, if he builds a push, I am in big problems. Here, it's not really a problem. You want to come at me with the Inferno Dragon, E-Dragon, I'm okay with it. I can deal with that with the Fireball, with the Lightning, with Baby Dragon NATO. It doesn't really cause that many issues.
Yeah, really easy for Broken to deal with when you talk about that Lava deck. So we'll see if other people implement Lava Loon, or if it's just Lava Miner again, or if they steer away from the skies. We're about to hop into our next best of 5 today, Demon Chocolate and SB, but let's hear from them before you see more of us. So Russia and the UK for our next best of 5 between Demon Chocolate and SB. And obviously these two are very, very talented players, but it does feel like a bit of an underdog matchup here for Demon Chocolate.
Yeah, I think for the whole group, they're really going up against SB. He's the guy to beat in this group. The other ones, we've had two very clear favorites. I think in this one, it's SB, and not only because of his skill, but his analysis and what we've seen out of him in the past, his experience with CRLs. So it really does come down to who can beat SB and secure that, and maybe we get some surprises and SB doesn't qualify. We saw it out of Aslan, someone that we expected to pretty much run through his group, went 0-2, so maybe they out prepared him, but I'd highly doubt that.
Yeah, I mean, SB was very vocal and honest about the fact that he has been working with Julezy. He has been working with a team, and that is something that you and I have harped on for weeks now, months now at Gamestars League, and you've heard a lot of the best players kind of talk about it. You heard Hugo talk about it. You heard One Hive talk about it. You just heard SB and Broken speak about it specifically, like playing against people's decks, preparing for it. And with Gamestars in our format, it is an integral part of it, but also, of course, it's gameplay. And when we saw SB play, you can see right there at the top of your screen, only 9 games in the book for this guy as opposed to 26 for Demon Chocolate. So we'll see if that actually paid off. Has SB gotten a little rusty over the last couple weeks? Is Demon ready to go because of all that practice? We'll find out here in this next best of 5.
Yeah, and I think a big reason why he has some extra matches played there is Abdullah's Lava Hound play in that early group stage, or it would have been an even easier road for him. So, yeah, coming out with Musketeer, that is a card that has been very, very much underused in Gamestars. And when we speak a little bit about what you were saying while they wait, this is kind of a stalemate right now. The team aspect, when you bring in an analyst, it's been proven in tournaments like Gamestars, where you have some amateur players, some not that experienced. Usually if you get a great player that works with an analyst, they tend to win it all, like it was with George and Juicy at WCG back in the day. You saw the clear advantage.
Yeah, that's actually a really phenomenal point you make, Eric. You and I were there in China in person, and we were able to see the communication between George and Juicy, or Dippets for you guys that don't know who we're speaking about. And it was pretty incredible to sit back and listen to the conversations that George would have with Juicy before those matchups. And I'd say maybe 85 to 90% of the time, he knew exactly what the opponents were going to run. And that's the exact type of thing we expect out of SB and Julezy.
Yeah, it is. And right now, SB completely controlling the match, even though it seemed like it was pretty close. All it took was one push, and with this type of deck, you don't usually expect that. Oh, I see a minor spear goblins. You don't really say, oh, I'm fearing for my tower, but he just lost it in one push.
Yeah, really kind of an incredible sequence there. You see the defensive mortar come out now that he gets to kind of sit back and just kind of hang on to the lead that he has, but it was an offensive mortar with some skeletons to distract the Dark Prince. Dark Prince goes off the board, mortar connects, and then you see this bit of damage that came in on both sides of the board. SB min-maxes that and takes the tower on the bottom left-hand side.
Wow, that actually connected. I thought there was no shot that it was going to connect, but it seems like even though it does connect, he can hold on for 30 seconds. I highly doubt that, well, 20 seconds at this point. I highly doubt that with all his swarm units and the mortar and everything else, plus the DPS from that Musketeer, it's actually incredible how strong it is that he can't defend for 9 seconds, and there it is.
There you go. Easy game number 1 here for SB. You blinked, you might have missed it, with a Spear Goblins plus Miner plus Valkyrie push after a very, very efficient defense. And, you know, I'm sure SB is very happy about how that went, but I'm wondering if Demon Chocolate even knows what went awry.
It was just he ran into a tough matchup with a good opponent, and that is what I expect to say for a lot of the sets that SB is gonna play. You ran into a tough matchup. It is the normal thing to say. Just P.E.K.K.A very, very hard when you're going up against mortar, especially it has spear goblins. If it has skellies, it has all these cheap units that just distract enough for your musketeer to get rid of the P.E.K.K.A and even the Dark Prince.
And a big, like, display of confidence in your deck there from SB. You know, you see a big push coming down the right-hand side from Demon, and he knows exactly where his cycle's at, where his elixir's at, and how much offensive pressure he can create on the left. And he ends up taking a tower and defending really efficiently. Yes, he takes about 1,000 damage early on both towers, but that's okay when you consider being up one tower with a very defensive deck.
Absolutely. And now I'm really curious what he goes with. I don't expect to see another mortar, or I hope I wouldn't see another mortar. I think in the past, and what I've as a coach have seen in Gamestars, I think one mortar deck is basically where you should stay. I do like having one of them because it seems like one out of the three matchups will be good eventually. So it's a safe deck choice, but two usually tends to be a little risky.
I completely agree with that call there. And, you know, being a big time mortar player and mortar fan, it does make me very happy to see that structure being the most popular in the game when you talk about siege buildings and siege units. But yeah, I think when you try to double dip in any big win condition, or it just makes it very difficult for you in case you do have a bad matchup. Now you've all of a sudden got two bad matchups. So here we go. Yeah. Goblin Brawler going to kite that Inferno. Miner comes in to get on that tower by Demon Chocolate. Now we get Royal Hogs in and very little elixir to defend. Bomber will do pretty decent cleanup.
Yeah, it does enough to save your tower, but it's not a position you want to be going down 1,000 damage on one push. And if you talk about utility, what that Goblin Cage just did was insane. It defended the wall breakers, and then it broke off and took care of the Mega Knight, and then it kited the Inferno Dragon. That was about as much utility as you can get from any unit.
Yeah, insane amount of value out of that. And then you saw Demon Chocolate kind of doubling down on what was actually a mistake by sending in that miner, because there was so much value out of that brawler. That miner going in made it so he did not have quite enough elixir to defend those Royal Hogs in the opposite lane. And a big part of that is the recognition by SB to take a little damage on the right-hand side, ignore the miner, and just send in those piggies.
Yeah, he sent in that miner, I think, because he didn't expect the Inferno Dragon to get kited. I think he thought it was going to get taken care of. The Brawler was going to get taken care of before it could get kited. And then he wanted to get that in, so maybe getting a little extra damage with the Inferno Dragon, but just a misstep from him. And in this level of gameplay against this type of opponent, one little mistake like that, even if it's just a 3 elixir miner, costs you 1,000 damage on your tower.
And a beautiful set of recruits there. Yeah. They come in behind the MK, get on top of the Bomber, protect all the units from the Inferno Dragon, and back on offense goes SB, and a very thirsty for elixir Demon Chocolate to defend.
And you're seeing why he's the favorite in this group. He's playing so well, so calm, and on top of that, his deck choices are so varied, and they have so much potential at great matchups. They fit in well in the meta. It is a recruits deck, but it's a recruits deck that makes sense right now. The other one with the wall breakers is a little bit more sketchy, in my opinion. A lot more risky, and this is more just Mother Witch, Fireball bait. Let me get to it, not take any unnecessary chances.
Yep, let's let you overspend. Let's let my recruits maybe bait out some defense from you, and then we'll send in the piggies when you're thirsting for elixir. And that's basically what SB has done the entire game. And the other thing is, and there we go once again, 6 elixir in. Fireball doesn't come down. Mega Knight does instead.
Goblin Brawler.
And Brawler on the right-hand side down to 368. And yeah, Eric, you said it pretty perfectly. SB not even breaking a sweat here. Perfect interactions, great deck selection, and Demon Chocolate now in trouble in game number 2.
And it always seems like he has the cycle he wants. Every time there's a Mega Knight, it's easily defended. Wall breakers are going to come in. Great, I have Cage. I don't really care. There you go. Now I have the Goblin Brawler, and now you're down on Elixir, and here are some Hoggies in the split lane with my Zappies resetting your Inferno Dragon. Good luck, my friend. Let me see how you defend this.
Yeah, beautiful stuff there. And I think, you know, one of the things you pointed out that I really like is you talk about he always had the correct response in hand, and that's not a mistake, right? Every single time that the Mega Knight would come down the lane, and if SB had just gone on offense, you'd see him tick to 7 or 8 before that MK got in a place of danger. Recruits were always ready. They were always played in the correct position. Because he had the luxury of that elixir, he was able to play them in front or behind that Mega Knight whenever it crossed the bridge based off of what was supporting it, whether it was an Inferno or a Bomber. He always had those recruits exactly where he needed them. And look at the efficiency with his spell power. Only 1 fireball out the entire game. And spell power is a lot of the time where you'll see more inexperienced players overspend and hurt themselves.
Yeah, it sure is. And it all came down to how easily he was defending because of his cycle. He was never forced to overspend on a defensive fireball. The only time he did it, it wasn't even a forced interaction. He just knew it gave so much value with the wall breakers and with the elite barbarians all being together that he decided that was the best option to defend. And another musketeer coming out of him in this set.
Yep. One of the strongest, or still, I think, the strongest single target range dealer in the game. The Musketeer is one of the absolute favorites from all the best players in the world, and really a reason why is just because of what you're talking about there. It's shocking how underutilized she has been.
Yeah, I think the Musketeer, since the beginning of time, has been that card where it just makes sense in almost every deck. I don't see one where it's bad, and I wouldn't mind seeing a Musketeer come down here as well. There it is. It just deals with everything. It has so much DPS, and on top of that, even if it does drop down to the 1 HP, it still can get a hit on tower, and a 1 HP Muskie might be the most dangerous troop in the game.
And look at that, SB going back to Mortar. He does take the tower down early on, a pretty substantial lead in his favor. Elixir in favor of his opponent with that Inferno Dragon on the board, and both towers hurting a little bit, but SB has a lot of single target DPS and a lot of ways to distract this MK. Maybe we see an Ice Golem here. Yes, we do.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what spells he has other than that log. Maybe he's just going log. I'm not really sure what is in store for him. He needs to be careful here, though. This is where I would want to see something come out. There it is. Log deals with everything, and you see Demon Chocolate getting a little frustrated. He's like, all right, where do I actually get any damage here?
Yeah, I think that, you know, the emotional nail in the coffin, if you will, Demon Chocolate really needed something to happen there. Now only 1 minute left of gameplay and a million responses for SB, our favorite here in Group D, and it looks like we may be getting an SB broken matchup, Eric.
Yeah, it does seem to go that way. It is what Broken predicted, but even if you predict it, I want to see, can you beat it? Because I predicted playing against SK in that finals of CRL West that we lost. I just couldn't do anything about it. Broken, what are you coming out with? What plan? What did you study the way that SB plays? Mentally, are you good? Because after watching this set, man, you have to have a little bit of respect, or at least intimidated a little bit by the way SB has just controlled every single matchup here.
Yeah, I mean, SB looks like he's got a resting heart rate of about 4 right now, just sitting back, hanging out, no stress whatsoever. And I do have to say, I mean, if you're listening to this SB on playback, you might be like, wow, these guys have a crush on me. But honestly, man, it has just been, I think this has been the most dominant set from any competitor that we have seen so far. Now, we did see yesterday Abdullah struggled mightily, but that was only because of matchups, right? That was a strictly matchup scenario and maybe a little bit of aggressive play from him. You talk about sheer dominance in a set. SB just 3-0'd in about, what, 10 minutes.
Yeah, this was a lot different than what we saw against Abdullah's opponents yesterday. That was just straight snipes. That was like, all right, Abdullah's gonna play this, this, and this. I'm gonna hard counter every single time. And it wasn't that we saw amazing gameplay. Credit to the other players as well. They didn't have to show amazing gameplay because the match was over before it even started. But SB just controlled everything. Demon was never playing the game that he wanted to play. He was always just playing reactionary to SB.
Yeah, I mean, that was just really, really masterful Clash Royale out of SB, the 19-year-old from the UK, and it's basically what we expected to see out of him. You know, he has a great analyst. He's got a lot of experience. As you can see, he's 19, so a few more years on a lot of our competitors out there means a lot more opportunity in those years to compete, and SB just, I mean, 1766 on that tower, 1329 on this tower. And some of those games get, I guess, maybe gets a little bit closer here at the end, but still, it didn't feel like ever he was in risk of losing a game.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm sorry. My brain stopped functioning when you said 19 is a little older than most competitors because I just turned 27 and I started feeling bad about myself now. The fact that 19 is older than most is crazy to me, but yes, it actually is. Clash Royale is a game where there's a lot of young players, and that's why a lot of the times you see those tilts and you see the BM actually does work in the competitive arena, because it's hard to control when you're younger, especially when you're playing for $30,000. When I was 16, 15, possibly 16, 17, if I had the chance to play for 30 grand, I would be a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie.
I couldn't even fathom what that money would do for me at that age, but one of these gentlemen that are making it through to the finals are going to be playing for that $30,000. Demon Chocolate not eliminated yet. Neither is Beneficious. That will be our next best of 5 today. One of them will be eliminated after that set. Beneficious, Demon Chocolate, and Demon just is going to have to reset, forget the set that just happened where Beneficious had a very good back and forth between Broken. It does feel like Demon is going to have to mentally reset himself for this next set. Broken and SB, on the other hand, I think is going to be a barn burner of a best of 5.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And for this one, I guess if you're Demon, it can only get better. That's the positive side, right? I mean, there's not much to you don't have to forget that much. It was 10 quick minutes. You know what? I got completely outplayed, but that doesn't matter because if SB does go ahead and be Broken, he's qualified, and now all I have to do is be Beneficious and Broken, and it might play the same way it played out in day number 1, where we expected the person that lost, we were like, wow, he had a really, really rough set. I don't think he could come back, but it was not that case. It was just his opponent in Hugo was so strong that it made it seem like he was out of it.
Yeah, a really up and down day for InThrill this Tuesday. It felt like he was going to be down and out early, and we did go the distance in a lot of those sets, but he was able to come back, play all the way through the elimination side of the bracket, and get to that second place spot, which one of these gentlemen will be able to do. SB and Broken in our winners bracket. Demon Chocolate, Beneficious in the elimination side. One of them moving on, one of them getting out of play and hanging back and watching us give away $30,000 this weekend. It's kind of hard to talk about this set specifically, Eric, because you look at the numbers and we don't have a lot of information on Demon, and I doubt that those 0% win rates really do him justice.
Yeah, I agree with you. The only thing I will say is for Beneficious, he's got to feel good seeing that he has the mortar deck that looks exactly like SB's. So, I mean, if you play it the same way, you should have a guaranteed win after watching the way that Demon struggled against it. Now, on the other hand, your decks aren't as strong in general as SB's were versus Demon. So you are going to have to work for it. And Beneficious, I need to see that lava actually do something.
Yeah, I don't know how he's going to get a win in with that lava. Obviously, we don't know what Demon Chocolate's third deck is, and he does have an okay matchup in maybe against that first deck, Eric. I mean, yes, it has Inferno, Fireball, and Zap, but there's really nothing else in that entire deck that targets the air. But then again, this is not a Lava Loon deck, and that's where all that air targeting would be more effective. The Inferno Dragon is just enough to deal with the lava and the lava pups. So that is maybe, again, a bit of a misstep in building the deck there. Maybe we do need to see Lava Loon. And on Demon Chocolate's side of it, I don't even really know what to say because it doesn't feel like we got a good taste of him in that last set.
Yeah, and going to that lava deck versus that Mega Knight deck, yeah, he doesn't have that many great air counters, but what does he have for the full Mega Knight push? He doesn't have anything either. All he has is the Elite Barbarians, and trust me, there is no way that Demon doesn't understand that in the matchup and will not try to bait them out with something else. And once he does bait them out, there is nothing you can do. You literally have nothing. You have no Inferno Dragon either. You have the E-Dragon, you have the Mega Minion, all of that, and the Flying Machine. That just gets fireballed, and Mega Knight has a really nice path to your tower. So I don't really know how he's going to win with that.
So here we go. Game number 1 of our elimination side of the bracket. This is Group D, our final group in our international finals group stage. Demon Chocolate and Beneficious, one Russian, and of course, one player from Cyprus. One of them will be eliminated after these few games.
Yeah, and I think one of the more exciting things about Gamestars is seeing players from countries that we don't usually see, right, in the top tier competitions, because it's not that they don't have the talent, but they haven't had the access maybe to the CRL. And I'm so used to seeing Brazil, Mexico, Spain. We have seen Russia because of Igor. But I love seeing players from all these different countries, and I think that's really, really cool thing out of Gamestars.
Yeah, it's a really, really great thing from Gamestars, kind of pulling from a different part of the world, mainly being over in the UK and the Middle East, and of course over in Asia. And what I really love about that as well is that it also is kind of an introduction to how CRL has changed now that players from all over the world, anyone in the world, can be in CRL as long as you finish in that top 1,000. It's really important to shine a light on maybe other parts that were neglected by the CRL format in past.
Yeah, it is exactly that. And it's about the spotlight, I think. Like you said, now you have the light on you. What can you make happen? And here we go. Here is the Mega Knight that we were speaking about. What do you have to stop now the wall breakers if they come in on the split lane? You're gonna have to use your arrows on the bomber. And now is where I want to see the wall breakers come in. As soon as that flying machine gets dealt with, go in. Don't be scared of it. And I might have taken a little bit of damage and gone minor wall breakers.
There you go, Miner right in front. Very, very nice placement on the Miner. Both wall breakers gonna connect, gonna take the Mega Minion off the board. And exactly what you called, Eric, just happened, and it worked beautifully for Demon Chocolate. I think with a little cherry on top was that Mega Minion taking all that death damage as well.
Yeah, that was a little bit rough on the placement, and this is the other thing. You know he's gonna bait out your elite barbarians, and now you have to overspend on this Mega Knight. There is no way you defend it unless you overspend, because he's not just gonna let this go, or at least I'd hope he wouldn't just leave it to that cage. There is the bomber. That's exactly what I want to see. Arrows come down and we're in the same cycle. Go miner wall breakers every single time.
Beautiful stuff. Miner wall breakers, opposite lane. Goblin Brawler turns and goes towards that tower. E-barbs do come down, but maybe a defensive miner out. No, does get back around to Mega Knight, and that Mega Knight gonna tank for everything red here. Mega Minion plus the flying machine. Bomber out, but that bomber not gonna get damage on the Brawler. Yeah, that's trouble. Now a defensive miner has to come out from Demon Chocolate, and a bit of a misplay there.
Yeah, and the Infernal Dragon does lock on, which is pretty good damage. That is 400 damage coming on, but is he back to something for this flying machine? And he's late on the Mega Knight. And this is how you lose these type of games. It's not that you didn't have a good matchup. The matchup was just fine, in my opinion.
Wow, and that is devastating. You get the Inferno Dragon down to maybe help clean up the mistakes that you made. The Electro Dragon is there to reset the Inferno, keeps that flying machine on the board a little bit longer, and now a man that had to use his mental fortitude, get through that last set with SB. He plays through this matchup pretty well, and honestly, he's supposed to win it, and just that one misplay, Eric, I feel like he's got to be in Tilt City.
Yeah, it all started with the bomber. 2 elixir card just spelled damage onto his towers. If he would have had that bomber ready to go for the Goblin Brawler, instead of placing it in behind the Mega Knight on your own side, which doesn't really make that much sense, he would have never had to miner defensively. He would have been able to keep up the pressure, but he took himself out of his own cycle. And it goes back to what we've said so many times. If something is working, keep on doing it. You don't need to get fancy with the attacks. You don't need to get fancy with the defenses. This was his game to win.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And Demon Chocolate now 4 in a row that he has lost, and Beneficious is able to pick up a game here in this elimination set. This is a best of 5, as you can see there, game 1 of 5, but Demon Chocolate struggling a lot as we hop into game number 2. Piggy's out at the bridge to start.
Yeah, and he's going up against the Brawler, the Bowler, NATO, Valk, Baby Dragon, Ice Wizard deck, and you have recruits. I mean, it's rough. This is look at Demon Chocolate right now. He's like, all right, now what?
Yeah, this is not the matchup that he would have liked, but he did partially put himself there picking this deck, and Beneficious, we'll see how he fares with this Bowler Freeze deck.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. I think it's gonna be a mental thing right now. Demon, I want to see him, you know, sit up in your chair, man. You're only down 0-1. You can still bring this back. Get into the game, hype yourself up a little bit. You need to be full on if you're gonna win, because you know Beneficious is going all out in this type of matchup, especially when he's up 1-0. You need to really pull it all together, get your mentality up, sit up, and, you know, go for it.
Not a bad start here for Demon, but a lot of elixir on the board to respond here. Beneficious crosses with a Valkyrie, a Graveyard, and of course a Baby Dragon on the back end. Piggies galore gonna start spawning here. Yeah, no freeze ready to go, and Demon getting a ton of skeletons on the board. This is a moment for him.
Yeah, this is great for him. And it all comes down to, I don't know if Beneficious didn't expect the Mother Witch, but I don't know how you don't expect the Mother Witch with this deck. It's basically always in there, and that just pretty much, I think, cost him the whole game. He hasn't lost yet, but he's in such a bad position at this point that I think it's basically a loss. That Hoggy's on top of the tower as well, and I don't know if he'll actually be able to come back.
Yeah, I like the dual lane pressure there. Beneficious does a good job and pulls those E-barbs towards his bowler, but the Mother Witch there still spawning piggies, getting good damage in 1108 and 1262 to basically 2 untouched towers of Demon Chocolate. And now we finally see Demon have a little bit of luck go his way.
Yeah, this is basically what he needed. I think this is it. You get yourself back in the set, and it's like a weight lifted off your shoulders. We've seen it out of so many CRL players. When you start off with that 0% win rate, it's all about getting that first win on the board, and then it seems like everything else just clicks. So this might be a huge turning point for him. The only thing I will say, Beneficious does have that mortar deck that Demon struggled a lot against.
Yeah, Demon did struggle with both the mortars deck out of SB, and you see the Zappy on the right-hand side just doing a ton of work for Demon Chocolate, keeping everything at bay. Royal Hogs come back in. Flying Machine here's 377 and 754. So again, 2 towers well over 2K.
Yeah, and I don't want to see him do the split lane push anymore. It doesn't really matter. He already won the game, I believe. But the split lane pressure is not the way to go here. Wait for that brawler, keep that bowler, keep defending if you have to. You can defend easily right now. You have the right cycle, and then go in the same lane. It is going to hit your Hoggies, but one of them should hit when they split up. There they are. 1 hit, 2 hits, and then just the fireball, arrows, and you're good to go. The split lane pressure could cause him more problems than it could help, because then he has to defend that.
Nothing but losses so far today for Demon Chocolate. Looks like he's finally going to pick up his first win and maybe turn the tide of his day. He's still in the Gamestars competition. He still has over $30,000 to win, but he's got to get out of this set.
Yeah, and here we go. We got a set. We have a set for Demon Chocolate. Now he's in a position you can win. That P.E.K.K.A is not a bad matchup overall. It deals very well with the Valk. It deals very well with the bowler. You have E-Wiz for the Inferno Dragon as well. So overall, he does have a clear shot at winning this.
Yeah, and you see now that he's playing better. He's maybe able to reset mentally, knows that he's here for a reason. Yes, he loses 4 in a row, but able to pick up 1 game is Demon Chocolate now, and maybe that is going to turn the momentum in his favor. Beneficious, a bit of struggles with that deck this last time out. Any thoughts of maybe what he could have done differently, Eric?
I think just early on the defenses were not clean. When you have that many responses to the Hoggies, you need to be a lot more calculated. You need to understand that the Elite Barbarians are going to be a lot of trouble for you if the bowler isn't in cycle, or the Valk. And it seemed like they were always out of cycle. They were always being used on the Hoggies when the Hoggies could have been defended with that baby dragon. Maybe take a little extra damage. Just make sure you're in the cycle that you feel comfortable with.
So Ram Rider meets a bowler here early to start. 5 for 5.
Yeah, 5 for 5, and this is when I want to see how he's gonna play this. How are you gonna defend? The defenses are what's really gonna be tricky for him if he doesn't get the E-Wiz onto the Inferno Dragons and really stop things at the bridge. If enough things are tanking and there is that freeze coming in at an opportune time, it could get really, really tricky for him. So you have to play this matchup very, very, very patient if you are a Demon Chocolate.
So both of them leaking a little bit of elixir, which is a sign of that patience that you're talking about. E-Wiz on top of the baby Inferno plus freeze comes out early. A nice fireball to reset that Inferno, and now that P.E.K.K.A going to have some pretty healthy legs as she crosses the bridge.
Yeah, that was a really nice fireball, because even though I still don't think it's going to get any damage here, it forced out a bowler out of your opponent. So now his cycle is completely off. You know that there's no attack coming. The baby dragon's out, and the bowler and his elixir is so far down that this is really, really smart out of him. Split lane pressure. He needs to Valk one of the sides, or he decides to go with a NATO here, but that's a lot of damage on the left-hand side.
Yeah, down to 1874 on the left, 2054 on the right. And of course, King Tower activation does come in for Beneficious. NATO pulls that bandit over to King. I like the dual lane pressure as well out of Demon, and we'll see how that King Tower activation plays into the rest of this game. Ram Rider not super affected by that.
Yeah, overall good start for him, and this is what I like to see. Be proactive with those fireballs. Even though it doesn't take care of the Inferno Dragon, it causes so many problems for Beneficious that it was a really smart play, and he's gonna continue to do this same style of play. He cannot Inferno Dragon now high because he knows what's gonna come if he does, and the Inferno Dragon goes on the right hand side instead, but that's not a good answer, and this Bandit's gonna connect as well and reset the Inferno Dragon.
Yeah, that's a really bad interaction there for Beneficious, but now he has a ton of elixir coming down the lane. Not enough to pull the trigger on the graveyard on either side. He just resets and lets Demon Chocolate play defense. Problem is that Demon Chocolate also gets to reset as he's about to tick to 10. Maybe we see something drop low. Yes, there is that P.E.K.K.A low to meet the bowler.
He needs to be careful on the left now, though. I'm pretty sure Beneficious is going to take care of this. He got his own E-Wiz out of cycle, which is not good for him at all. That E-Wiz really was something that he needed. Maybe you got to E-Wiz the left now. I'm not really sure what his plan is here. E-Wiz needs to come down. And the problem is that you saw how early on he always had the same combination that made the whole game easy for him, right? It was that P.E.K.K.A E-Wiz behind combination. Now he never has it because it's all out of sorts, basically because of himself. He took it out of play for himself.
Yeah, doing something that messes up or disrupts your own cycle late game is always trouble, and now you see himself really struggling. Mother Witch is out of cycle to get on top of those skeletons. Now we get a Bar Barrel late. Luckily for him, that Princess Tower is focusing on the skellies as opposed to that baby. And P.E.K.K.A gets on tower. Wow. That's a big swing. Mother Witch on the left-hand side. Beneficious calls good game as a Ram Rider comes down the lane. Very well played late game there. Looked like the wheels fell off for just a second, but Demon Chocolate able to hold on.
Yeah, and the only reason it got even close there is because of him taking himself out of his own cycle. It's not over till it's over, though. We know what Graveyard Freeze has done to players in the past. And hello?
E-Wiz is... Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! I don't know how. Demon Chocolate does not get anything down on tower, does not go back on offense. Benefish just somehow, I mean, the moment that you said it's not over till it's over, I felt bad things were coming for Demon.
I felt it right here. Right here, a little bit lower, but like in my gut, you know, where like you see it just slowly unfolding, and you're like, okay, he bar barreled too soon. Now what is gonna come? Where is the E-Wiz? He puts the E-Wiz on the wrong side. You never want to E-Wiz that little sliver of graveyard. Put that E-Wiz in the big part of the graveyard. It's not only going to take care of more skellies, but it's going to tank for them as well. And I said it because I had the feeling, man. It wasn't a jinx. I knew it was coming.
I know. I think we both felt it. There was just a couple of interactions that were not advised late game by Demon, and it all started with messing up his own cycle. So as we go into game number 4, which really felt like game 3 was going to go in favor of Demon, we see a reset here, and Beneficious with a big smile there, very happy to be in the lead.
He still can't believe he won the previous game. I think it's like still processing, and I think it was that when Beneficious called good game, Demon just threw a Ram Rider on the bridge, and that was my point where I was like, no, you took the bait. That is like when you play on ladder and someone says, yeah, good game, because you took the tower, and then you're like, all right, I'll go for 3. They defend and they go on the counter. That was the same thing.
Gosh, frustrating to watch. Can't even imagine how frustrating it was to be a part of. And the mortar struggles continue for Demon Chocolate. Mortar connects here early on. E-Barb's going to come down on top. Musketeer, nice fireball value in. And we'll see how game fares for Demon with this matchup before. But those wall breakers should connect.
Yeah, they will connect, and that is a lot of damage. But I still want to see him play this full game out. It has not been easy for him. We've seen him get damage at some points in the game when he does play against Mortar, but it seems like he hasn't been able to close them out at any point. And Beneficious, man, you have a lot of answers for these wall breakers. They should never actually be connecting. You have Log and Spear Goblins, you have Fireball. If you need to Fireball them, go for it. Just make sure they don't ever hit. That is the only way you lose this game, because the Mega Knight can get easily defended by an Ice Golem Kite. You can Ice Golem Spear Goblins out as well. Just make sure that is not connecting, and maybe a Fireball here.
Maybe Zap comes down on this one's. There's the Zap, and now we get a elite top of that musketeer. That is not what you want her to soak that shot. And now we get on that left hand, wall breakers to the right. Very, very well played by Demon. And that's exactly one of the things I was talking about to you before, Eric. A week ago, I was like, if you ever have that moment where you're talking to your players about trying to pull off the crafty move or the 100% safe move, and that was an example of trying to go crafty and not executing.
That's why I said fireball. Just fireball that Mega Knight and that Inferno Dragon. The Mega Knight was in fireball damage range. He decided to just let the Spear Goblins there. They got zapped, and then he put down a Muskie. Man, just use your spells. It's okay to fireball defensive. They don't always have to be onto your opponent's tower to try and get troops off the board and get your miner to hit. That is one of those times where I think it's all about inexperience. Just get it off the board.
Yeah, and you know what? To his fairness, I don't know what I would have done in that situation either. I think maybe I would have taken all that damage, but that's why you were one of the best coaches in the world. It's you got to fireball out defensively. You have to recognize the city you were in. Not only does that, crazy. Not only does that fireball get the damage in, but it also is going to help you reset that and throw the damage down, get that damage on the Mega Knight, get it off the board so you're muscling a little bit more defense, but you don't even need them, right? You just fireball, you take a little damage, and then you're able to defend the out lane.
The thing is that he ended up using the fireball anyway. So it was just, all you have to do at that point is you have to understand the way fireballs work, right? So if you just angle it towards the inner part of that Inferno Dragon, it's going to take it towards the right. It's going to take care of the Mega Knight, and you could even place that Muskie on the other side to continue to do damage onto the Inferno Dragon and then switch onto the miner. It would have been such a nice and easy defense. I think he really would have won the game.
Yeah, it's crazy. One missed defense there, especially against the deck, can really just put you on your back heel rest of the game. And so Demon Chocolate to get a win in a mortar, something that he's struggled all day, or I guess in a set with SB, that's really all it was SB 2 mortar decks really well. And now Chocolate in the lead here, game 4-5. We're going the distance one, my friend.
Yeah, here we go. Will you actually be able to win with it, though? Demon Chocolate had bad experience with this deck early on in this set. I really want to see you close out the game. It is not over till it's over, man. Play hard until you have that tower down. Don't give up any one of those loose elixir trades. You have to make everything count until the game is over, or you're gonna lose again. And let's see here. Should be easily defended. Maybe have a musketeer. Defensively, he decides to go Spear Goblins. Either one works. Spear Goblins log or just musketeer. Same elixir value there. And the one thing I will say, when I spoke to Carpi, I know this isn't the same deck as the one he plays bridge spam wise. He always told me Ghost in the back, unless it's in front of the P.E.K.K.A, and Bandits always on the bridge. Bandits on the back of your tower do not do anything. They're so easily defended that if you give time to your opponent to actually set up the right defense, it will play in his favor. So no more Bandits in the back, Demon Chocolate. If you want to use it as a cycle, place it on the bridge. Yeah, exactly that. And you got to make them think. You got to make them react quick, and that is what the Bandit does. The less time you give your opponents, the better. And I don't really get that placement of the Bandit. That was like, I'm gonna play it at the bridge, but I'm gonna give you 2 extra seconds to react to it. It's the little things like that in Clash that actually do make a difference. Yeah, and right now I think Veneficious is in a good position here just to end up taking the game, but it's mainly off of Demon Chocolate's mistakes more than his own gameplay. Credit to Beneficious, he's playing well as well, but it really is coming down to Demon. Maybe it's a little bit of a lack of confidence and hesitation in his own moves.
Yeah, maybe he's getting ahead a little bit here going to game 5, feeling the pressure that you do when you know that there's a lot on the line, a lot of people watching as well. And Bandit, which plus to defend that push on the right side. Mortar going to be distracted by that Mother Witch. Now the E-Wiz, still in this one.
Yeah, he is still in this one, but it's slowly slipping away, in my opinion. That P.E.K.K.A in the back. Another pro tip for my friends out there that are watching this from Carpi. Yes, I did sit down with him, and that's why I have all these pro tips. If you are at 9 or 10 elixir when you're playing P.E.K.K.A, the P.E.K.K.A should always be played on the back in your lowest HP tower every single time. If you want to cycle it, you cycle it on your low HP tower, even if it's in the lane where you haven't done any damage yet.
And you even saw Beneficious kind of put out that questioning hog when Demon Chocolate did that once again, because it's making this game, this late game play, a lot easier decision-making wise for Beneficious. A weird dash there by the Bandit opens that up, and there we go. P.E.K.K.A in the wrong lane, at least according to Carpi once again.
Yeah, and the reason why he says that is because you don't expect the P.E.K.K.A to actually get to your opponent's tower. What you do with the P.E.K.K.A is force out units that then allow your split lane. So having it on the side where even if you haven't done damage isn't really an issue for anyone. And on top of that, you already defend the miners, the wall breakers, the mortars, everything that will come down from your opponent.
There you go. P.E.K.K.A now in the weaker lane up high. He was going to reset that Mortar on top of the P.E.K.K.A to keep it there. Bandit not going to be able to dash because of a nice log. Fireball comes in to clean up that Mother Witch, and now that Musketeer finally comes off the board. No, it doesn't. Great job by Beneficious to protect.
Yeah, and this mortar will get on tower. I think that hit will be on tower. Yeah, and it does. That was just played a little bit too close, but this is nice pressure out of him. Just, I think, one too many answers, and the predict is not there. Nice fireball as well, and this might be game over for him.
Yeah, that's game over. Demon Chocolate goes back and forth in this final set. Very, very tough day out for Demon when you talk about his first 0-3 against SB, but he goes the distance here in his elimination set. Very, very well played by him, but we are going to have to say goodbye to our Russian competitor from Group D for now. Whew, we got 2 more best of 5s today, Eric.
Yeah, and Demon is gonna have nightmares about Mortar. Tough day when he played against the Mortar decks. And I still say congratulations in the point that you got here. And if I could just give any tip or pointer to him, is play a little with less hesitation. You just gotta go for it, man. You really do. It seemed like a lot of these games he was a little bit hesitant, and I understand you lost 0-3, you maybe got in your head a little bit, but you are a good player. Just believe in your abilities. And it seemed like when he did get aggressive and really go for it, he took control of a lot of the matches.
Yeah, a good amount of opportunities kind of left on the floor there. And, you know, it happens in games, but like you said, in competition, you gotta have that killer instinct. That's what you see out of the best players in the world. They swing for the fences at times that maybe seems ill-advised, but it's usually not. Usually they've done their homework throughout the game of elixir counting, cycle monitoring, and kind of looking at how their opponents like to defend. And that's usually when they turn up the heat here. And Demon Chocolate just not able to do that through 5 games. He was able to do it in a couple. Maybe that little bit of confidence he got from picking up his first win here in game number 2 helped carry him through the rest of this set, but maybe just some misplays with this P.E.K.K.A deck throughout were his struggles.
Yeah, they definitely were, and a little bit unfortunate for him. But hey, you learn, and maybe he'll be back in the next Gamestars edition. And it hurts. You see it in his face, you see his reactions, but go back to the working table, go back, practice your decks, and I hope it's not the last we see of him.
So we've got 2 more sets left today. Broken and SB will be up next, and then Beneficious going on, or excuse me, Broken and SB up next to figure out who is going to get our first place. But before we hop into that set, we're actually going to take a very, very quick break here at Gamestars. Make sure that all of our tech is in order. So after these highlights are done, we'll be taking a quick break, and we'll be right back with you. But let's look at this 0% win rate with the P.E.K.K.A Ram Rider deck out of Demon Chocolate on the day. Just nothing but struggles there.
Yeah, and kind of got to eat my words now. I said Pekka hasn't lost when it's been played, and now it's lost like 3 times, man. Come on, Demon. Come on, man. I just said it like 30 minutes ago. But no, I mean, some tough matchups, maybe just not as comfortable with it. And maybe it was the choice of the one big difference I see in this deck compared to every other Pekka deck we've seen: no Ghost.
Yeah, the Royal Ghost really, I mean, when we have talked a lot about Pekka decks specifically, the Royal Ghost has been a card that you and I have really focused on, and how effective it is clearing out the lane, when to drop it down and when to cycle it in the back. So Veneficious moves on. Demon Chocolate is eliminated. Veneficious will play the loser of Broken and SB to figure out who our second place competitor is. But first, we do need to get that best of 5 between Broken and SB. So as I said, guys, we will be taking a very quick break and we'll be right back. All right, are back. This is Group D. This is Gamestars League, and final day of the international group stake, and it's going to be all about $30. But first, our little 3 competitors still fighting for their lives, Broken and SB, and I'm very excited about. There are 2 very dominant players, 2 very players. SB 3-0's Demon Chocolate. Broken goes the distance against Veneficious.
Yeah, and Veneficious has a lot of games played today as well. And if I'm Veneficious here, I don't really know who I want to play, because even though that set went the distance, it seemed like Broken did have his number a little bit. And on the other end, SB has looked so strong today that it seems like a lose-lose situation on who you're rooting for. But I'm really excited for this set. And I want to see if SB just had really good matchups and was expecting what he did against Demon, or if he really did come out as dominant as it seemed in set number 1.
Yeah, and I want to see if he does end up taking a loss early on in this set, how he's going to deal with it when in regards to mental. We saw him get a little bit in his first day out, but that wasn't really because he wasn't playing well, because of who he was playing again. Now let's see how he fares in best of 5 to see who our first place competitor is from Group D.
Yeah, it wasn't, I don't think he got tilted because of the loss. He got tilted because of lava first play, loon, everything going on the bridge. And I mean, the way you lose impacts your mood so much. When if I'm playing ladder and I get golem first play with the night witch and I don't have anything in cycle and I lose, I'm just mad. I'm really just mad. But when I get outplayed, I'm like, all right, next game.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in the same boat. When I get tilted because I do something stupid or exactly what you're talking about. I don't have the responses in hand. But when I get outplayed, you just got to kind of tip your hat and move on to the next one. So here we go. Double elixir time. Recruits versus recruits. Zappies versus zappies, but a little bit of changes there in throughout.
Yeah, and let's see how this fares. This is a match that isn't really in anyone's take. For anyone to take here, sorry about my translating from my brain from Spanish to English. That did not work out that well. But yeah, this is a match where the better player should win. It's an even match. Nothing really favoring anyone. And SB showing, okay, I understand this matchup very, very well.
Beautiful predictive fireball there on top of all things defensively for Broken, and he ends up taking about 1,000 damage for it. 1429 to 2003 are the two lowest towers on the respective sides of the board, and fireball just a little bit out of cycle for Broken right now.
Yeah, it seems like he fell behind on the cycle war, right? There is that internal war within the game to who can have the better cycle, and now he's even having to miner defensively. And if a fireball comes in, which it does, that's basically game over. And SB, I mean, SB showing that it wasn't just set one, or it wasn't that he had the one up on Demon Chocolate. That was dominant.
Yeah, that was really, really clean stuff, and I wasn't sure if he was going to.
Yeah, I mean, SB, what I was expecting was a very tight match there, with the recruits going up against the recruits, with everything, you know, really matching up evenly. And then SB with one push with a prediction fireball, getting everything off the board, completely just showed Broken, I am one step ahead in this matchup. You need to be a lot more proactive than you were against Beneficious if you're gonna beat me. And if he continues to play like this, I don't see anywhere where SB will actually be taken out, not only in this group, but he's probably the most dominant player we've seen throughout GameStars so far.
Yeah, I could not agree more with you, and it does seem like I'm having some connectivity issues, so I appreciate you picking up that for me, and hopefully I won't be having too many more. But to kind of continue the thought, or at least what I was saying earlier, is just that, yeah, SB, it's basically what you just said, is he has been so incredibly dominant. And for the beginning of that last game, it felt like they were in a pretty fairly even matchup. But you saw the moment that SB kind of turned up the gas, when he went on the aggressive, fireball in, and he got 1,000 damage. Exact same thing when he felt the elixir, you know, flow in his direction. He could tell that Demon Chocolate was down a little bit. He goes back in, gets out the defensive miner, another predictive fire, and he's just been perfect, man.
Yeah, and it goes to show that sometimes you gotta risk it. It's what we were saying, that best players will put it all on the table. And right there, SB knew if that fireball did not work out, that predictive fireball didn't work out as he planned it, the game was almost basically over for him. But he went all out and it won him the game. This is $30,000 you're playing for, and if you're gonna win, you gotta risk it at some point.
A really clean there. He sees the night, which sets up a defensive mortar, gets spear goblins out as soon as the graveyard down. Snowball from Broken, tier Valkyrie out of SB, and it's just been really nice stuff there. Miner misplayed by just one tile. Would have liked that not to get the leap in, but does get the help from that second tower.
Yeah, he basically, when you play the miner in that position, you're choosing, do I want 2 towers to hit it, or do I want no leap and 1 tower? Either way, I think it would have defended the same exact way, and the miner doesn't live on either of them. And this mortar is actually pretty good, because it will take care of the Mother Witch as well as the majority of this goblin hut, and on top of that, gets a hit on tower.
What a beautiful decision there as well. He goes with the snowball instead.
Wow.
Snowballs the cycle back skeletons, Eric, and that way everything he needs here.
Wow.
Back in cycle, tears back in cycle, and of course goblins are back. And so it's very well played there by SB, kind of looking into the future of what he'd have to do.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed, but those skellies were so smart to take care of the little Hoggy, because that Hoggy was getting tanked for by everything else. It was going to end up doing a lot of damage, and he knew if he played the Skellies high, they would not only defend, but it would force the snowball to be chosen. Do I want them to hit the Skellies or the Spear Goblins? And just so smart out of SB over and over again.
The recognizing his biggest threat. So we imagine we'll see a pretty setup up here as he's cycling to get a miner back down on the board. High Valkyrie there, beautiful play to make sure that nothing crosses the bridge. Miner goes in, saves the fireball for the Mother. We're worried about that Mother Witch. She's not getting that tower damage in as he has the eyes on the prize. 3 HP remains. Offensively, and SB now a little closer than it might, but he had that all laid out.
And that is not an easy matchup at all, man. That is not easy to play against when you have a Mega Knight, Night Witch deck and you're playing your mortar with against Graveyard on top of that, and he has Snowball for your Spear Goblins. That is tough, and I mean he continues to just cruise through. It really does appear like he's not even breaking a sweat.
What's really difficult about that matchup specifically, Eric, is just figuring out a way to actually defend those skeletons once your Spear Goblins come off the board, right? Because you need to figure out to get enough damage on that Mega Knight plus at the bridge to make sure they don't get to tower, but then you'd be able to clean up all the skeletons from the graveyard. And the SB did that time again, knowing when to set up the mortar defense, knowing when to go Spear Goblins, and then muskets. All of it was so great, and he never got to it with his miner. Only miners out, but he sent them in at the time.
Yeah, and on top of that, you can't use the Snowball for every graveyard when the Night Witch is behind the Mega Knight, because then you have nothing to deal with the bats. There's just so many micro decisions that you have to take. The Fireball is always going to have to go onto the Mother Witch. So many different things, really, and SB is making the right choice every single time, and that is not easy to do in Clash Royale. It is very easy to make one bad decision, especially in a deck that cycles that quickly and that many small troops. Really props to him the way he's playing today.
I mean, picked on the day, 5 games up, 5 games, 100 win rate, and those losses that he has come from his very first day of competition. So SB, I mean, we got a lot of positive things about that, and you know, he can press, mortar connects there, and a nice defense here to clean everything up. Fireball comes out on, but that gives a very big elixir advantage to his opponent, and Bro now playing with a little bit of tilt in his streak.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's also gonna force out another defense, because that 1 HP muskie, like I've said, is the most dangerous card. When something is played in front of it, it just seems like, I don't know why, but it always seems to get so much value, and he forced himself into a Snowball that now caused him to be behind in cycle, behind in elixir, behind on everything, and SB is gonna be one of those players that's gonna take advantage of that.
Another one of those things that you're talking about, Eric, you mentioned it earlier with Barbarians in a different matchup, saying the point of this is to bait out the Mega Knight. I can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but then you look at what SB just did there, baiting out the correct responses from his opponent and then punishing him for it. And I just really love what
I mean, that defense? Oh, I mean, I kind of feel bad for the rest of this group. It seems like SB just is so dialed in that he's not giving a shot at anyone. He just defended that to perfection. Not only did the Ice Golem tank, but then it also took out the bats when it does that little explosion, and Broken gave up.
Wow. Look at that. Look at the camera. He's like, am I seeing this correctly? And yes, sir, you are. You have tilted competitor out of a 30,000 set. Yes, Broken is still alive. He will be beneficious, and maybe that's the idea behind Broken's game is, look, man, you have pissed me off. I am so tilted right now. I have one set, one chance to get second. I'm gonna just walk away from this set and let you have first place.
Yeah, I mean, after game 2, he shut off the camera. After game 3, he was completely gone. He was just over it, man. And it's what I said. I kind of feel bad for the people in his group, because I don't know what exactly what it feels like, but I've seen it out of players where you're just stuck in this matchup against someone that you know you're not gonna beat, and it gets so frustrating every single time that, like, you try to do something and he one-ups you and he one-ups you and he one-ups you. And out of Broken, look, I'll never say it's the right move to just give up, because I'm too competitive for that, but I understand that he just wants to move on against someone that he already beat and maybe not get more and more tilted.
Yeah, SB has just played perfect today. I mean, the numbers reflect it. He's 6-0 on the day. He tilts Broken out of playing the game. He knows he through. And the other thing is you look at Eric, and it's not a brilliant matchup. B, it's going up against Graveyard again with basically the exact same type you have. You don't have Poison. You have Snowball for your splints. You don't have Valkyrie this time to help clean all that up, but still just not able to break.
I think it was winnable. 100% it was winnable. I don't know. I wouldn't have given up. You know what one Graveyard can do, especially the right Graveyard with the Mega Knight push. Maybe if he would have just kept playing, you tank the whole tower, you let him spend that 3-4 elixir to actually take your tower down, and you use that to your advantage to get a massive push in with a Mega Knight on the other lane and a Graveyard and a Night Witch. And like you said, there's no Valk this time, so the Valk that not only tanks for the Mega Knight but also does damage is non-existent. I think he could have brought it back, but it is a little bit of the mental there, right? He wasn't thinking fully straight when you're that tilted.
I'm wondering also what that, does walking away from that last game give him a moment to reset and to play Beneficious, or is he just so him of a horrible oath and Beneficious of a win? Does Broken fall down because of this mental battle going through?
It's not only what it does for him, it's what it does for Beneficious. If I'm Beneficious right now, I'm feeling good, man. I am, like, all right, I can do this. I have a mortar deck. I can make this happen. I just saw what he did, and it's the exact same mortar deck that SB has, right? So you know how to play it. You know the interactions. You gotta be feeling good. And on the other end, Broken, man, I don't know. I don't think 10 seconds will make a difference on a breather. I think he's tilted, to be honest.
Yeah, and you look at the numbers there, it's all in the numbers. 100% win rate from all of SB's decks today. And Broken, of course, on the other side of it, a bit of struggles with that Mega Knight Graveyard deck, specifically in this set. And we'll see how it fares against Beneficious, which is how we started off our day. And we'll see who is in favor when you talk about momentum now. Beneficious coming off of a very good set against Demon Chocolate. And, of course, Broken now just dropping 3 in a row to SB, but that set did go in favor of Broken earlier today. Very curious to see how it plays out now, as we saw something like this happen yesterday, Eric, when Demas and Financier started off their sets, started off the day yesterday in Group C. Demas lost to Financier and then turned around and eliminated him in the decider match. So we'll see if that's going to be what happens once again here in our final best of 5 of today between Broken and Beneficious.
And Beneficious could not ask for a better scenario here. There just isn't. The person that you're playing against lost 3-0. He's tilted. And on top of that, your set went 3-2. It's not like you got dominated. It was a set that could have gone to anyone. On top of that, you're coming off of a win where you had comeback wins. You had everything you wanted. So, I mean, this is best case scenario for Beneficious. And I'm kind of worried for Broken at this point.
Yeah, so here we go. Beneficious and Broken. This is what we just saw between Broken and SB, just to get a 100%. Quick refresher of those decks from SB. And maybe we'll have the pleasure of talking to him today, but maybe not. As I said, I'm having some connectivity issues for some reason here. And Broken, Beneficious, I'm not sure who I have in this matchup. I don't really know if I saw anything substantially different from either of them in their second sets. I mean, although it did feel like Broken didn't really get a chance to even play, whereas Beneficious seemed to play much better.
Yeah, the thing is, if you give me both of these to they're both mentally clean slate, they were just playing one match, nothing else happened, I think I go for Broken. I liked a little bit more what I saw out of him overall. But that's not the case here. And at the end of the day, in a competition where you're playing for this much and you lose in this fashion and Beneficious coming out of a win, I'm going to go, if I had to predict a winner here, I'm going to choose Beneficious. He just really needs to get that lava win. I think you need to get that out of the way as quick as possible. That is what hinders him every time he plays. And you see it in the win percentage. 33% is not good, especially when you've already played 2 sets.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. So he has to figure out a way to get that lava deck out early with a win. So Beneficious, bottom of your screen, Broken at the top, finishing the day the same way we started once again. One of these players will be our second place competitor. The other one will be eliminated from Gamestars League.
Yeah, and he's going for it right away. I think that is the right play. The lava coming in is definitely the way to go. And yeah, if he can win with this one right now, I think this is his set.
The Electro Dragon will help very well against these recruits, and you see a well played here coming out from Beneficious, as not a lot to deal with that on the bottom right hand side. That is really tough.
Yeah, and there goes my if he could win with this one. The set is looking for him. Yeah, I'm not sure really what to say other than overcommit maybe, and just put yourself in a bad position. And again, it goes back to what we've spoken about with this lava deck. Absolutely not enough ground defense. There is just not enough defense at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly, you took the words right out of my mouth. No ground defense there for Beneficious, and you see that massive hit come in on the right-hand side. Recruits plus E-Barbs, and it already feels like that's all she wrote here in game number 1. And if you want to talk about the positives, this is a very good moment for Broken.
Wait, the flying machine is actually on tower, which forces the Zappies to come out early, and he might just be back in this game as soon as we say that. But can you defend? You still have to defend. Hello? Those are 3 recruits on your tower.
He's just letting the E-Drag put in its work. Maybe going to try to get another Lava Hound down here. No, he goes Mega Minion in the back to defend the one recruit.
That's it.
I don't know. Decision-making went out the window there. I have no idea what just happened. Mega Minion goes down in the back instead of defense up high, worrying about one recruit instead of a potion of red on that side of the board. He sends an E-Barbs to the right, Miner to the left. He's going for a last-ditch effort here, but it is no, I don't think there's any way.
I don't understand the whole decision process there. It made absolutely no sense to me. As a lava player, like, you need to understand, you have no reason to lava on the bridge there. There's really no need for it. You need to defend. You have 1,600 damage left on that tower. If you don't defend 3 recruits, that's going to be under 1,000, and then you're going to get pushed out of it. He has Miner, he has Wall Breakers, he has Elite Barbarians. Please just defend. You have 53 seconds when that happened. I looked at the time. That is so much time to get 300 damage.
Yeah, I really don't understand a lot of the things that kind of happen there. The overcommit early on allows that tower take to happen. That'll happen sometimes, but you got to reset and recognize, okay, now I need to take a tower. I need to sell out on offense, which he kind of does. He gets a lot of damage in, but then back on defense, he just lets that Electro Dragon sit back and let those royal recruits go to town on his tower. He gets a Mega Minion behind King, working down the wrong lane. So it's an easy Miner plus E-Barbs from his opponent. So just not really sure what happened there.
I really don't. I don't understand. He got such a lucky break, right, to get back in there with the missed timing on the recruits from Broken, that he played them behind the tower, expecting them to tank for the flying machine. And as soon as he got back into the game, he gave it back to Broken. And that's one of the things that will lift your tilt if you're Broken. That should reset you mentally 100%.
So games in favor of Broken so far. Beneficious just going to out this now that he's with a little bit today. This is the bowler. It's the freeze deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, bowler, freeze, Valkyrie, graveyard with Inferno. So Inferno each other here.
Yeah, the Zappy will make a difference here, and he resets them onto the recruits, and on top of that, the bowler goes to the right, nothing on the left right now, and those wall breakers are going to connect at least one of them. Yeah, there it is. And that Zappy does work, man. I'm telling you, it doesn't seem like they do, but it really does.
It's insane the amount of utility this Zap, and not only is it resetting good damage in, but it's slowing that tower down so much. Look at that. Defense freeze comes out. This goes down to Elixir. This feels like game already.
He's gonna have enough for Valk if he has it in cycle, which he does just in time there. But yeah, it is game over. And man, I am telling you that those Zappies, man, they are so underestimated. When you look at it, you expect it to do like 20-30 damage on tower. It does 100 per hit. One single Zappy, and on top of that, continuously resetting it, giving your troops more to do. And Beneficious throwing that #1 hand up, but it's not looking like it right now, man. This is all in Broken's favor.
know when one of those zappies gets on your tower with some front, it's just incredible how that damage stacks up, and Fish just in a big uphill battle here. Bowler meeting Recruit, Ice Wizard off the board.
Nice.
Fireball. Recruit's going to take down that left-hand tower, and a very, very small counter push here for Beneficial. Pull the trigger on his graveyard, and by small I mean non-existent.
Yeah, and this is it. He's going all in with this. I'm assuming the freeze is gonna come. He doesn't have the zap because he just used it on defense kind of. It was to reset the opponent's Inferno and for his to live, but even then just deals with it perfectly, and he's using the zappies really, really well. Every time he has the zappy about to go down, he places a troop to retarget it, being really, really smart with it. And on top of that, he over defended 3 times already, and I really like doing that. Once you know the game is in your favor, use 700 elixir if you have to defend. Just make sure it's there.
Yeah, the zappies, cards like that, the fire, the magic archer, the zappies, ones that just get a ton of value. The mother witch, the longer they board, it is just so detrimental to your success. That one zappy reason that game was out the window. Vicious.
Yeah, it really wasn't. We all saw it, right? We all saw it slowly unfold and creep up when it was there, and you saw the miner and you saw the Infernal Dragon, and it was all due to one zappy. It wasn't even the zappies, it was just one, and that is so frustrating because there's nothing you can do when you get in that moment. And yeah, Broken really playing like he's just came off of 6 straight 3-0 wins.
Yeah, it's like crazy to how their mentality coming into this set. And you know what, I have to tip my hat to Broken. He must know himself well. He knew he wasn't going to win that set with SB. I mean, look, there's a very, very small chance he could have pulled off the beaten SB, but more likely than not, he would have just lost later on in the set, whether it was in game 4 or in game 5. It just seemed to kind of have his number. So I like that he resets here, and look, he's got his camera back on. He comes out. He picks up the first 2 games, no problem. Well done on you for knowing what you needed to do to come out and hopefully get second place.
Yeah, and I mean, not to say Beneficious doesn't deserve second place, but I think Broken is someone that has played so consistently well overall throughout all of Gamestars when we've seen him, that I'm really happy for him if he does close out this set. And I think he's someone that would be great moving into that and closing out the finals for us. The only thing I'm going to say is he's probably not looking forward to matching up against SB if it does come down that they're on the same side of that finals bracket.
Well, what's really fascinating is when you look at the numbers, Eric, you see that Broken has a 61% win rate with 11 wins and 7 losses. 6 of those losses, or excuse me, 3 of those losses came just from SB today. So that's almost half of his losses from one competitor who does just not seem to be in any position to be stopped by any one of the other 7. But we'll have to see as we get into the finals of this weekend.
Yeah, and I mean, first he does have to still win. We've seen players get it brought back onto them. We've seen O2 reverse sweeps before. It's not over till it's over, but this deck is a very strong deck. It is very, very solid. We've seen the double witch combo work out really, really well for most people, and he just decides to soak up 600 damage there.
Yeah, as you can see, still down in elixir, Beneficious is, so he has to soak that damage up, and not what he wants to do. A slight lead, but lower in elixir.
Yeah, and here's the Night Witch coming out. I'm not sure if he's gonna actually get something in front of it. That Fireball is a little bit aggressive, in my opinion.
It hits nothing, and you see the smile come out there from Beneficious. Doesn't hit the Night Witch, or yeah, doesn't hit the Night Witch, excuse me, and does not hit the Goblin Brawler. So a lot to deal with. Most likely just going to be tower down.
Yeah, he has to spend the Fireball, but he's down so much on elixir. His cycle is just, I don't even know if he knows what's in cycle anymore at this point. It seems like he's just throwing everything at him, and now the Mega Knight forces out a defensive mortar, which causes nothing to be available on offense. And if a snowball comes down onto those spear goblins, there should be nothing else. He decides to go Fireball instead, which if you're gonna Fireball, why not go on the spear goblins and mortar? I'm a little bit confused there.
Yeah, a little surprise there. I would have definitely thought the snowball was going to come out instead, but decides to go Fireball. Does Broken, and 1082 remains on his tower to a 626 on his opponent's tower. Beneficious here trying to make something happen with these mortars. He's playing one offensively, one defensively. Mega Knight now set down in the back as this Musketeer is kind of working away on those bats, chipping away at this Mega Knight.
Yeah, and he needed to ice golem there, because if not, that Muskie would have get taken off the board, but it might get taken off the board again, and I don't love that. I really don't. I think I would just let the Muskie get, you know, really taken off by that Mega Knight, but to sacrifice a whole mortar on a 1 HP Muskie, in my opinion, is just not worth it.
And there it goes, tower down because of it. I could not agree more. Let the Musketeer take the leap, fall off the board, then get the mortar down to turn the Mega Knight around, tank for it. It's still probably going to go down, but you're not going to get the leap on the mortar.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And it is what it is, man. Broken really pulling out an SB and just dominating that set completely. And I think we do have the two best players from the group moving on. And I think that's been the case for the whole weekend. I can't say anyone got eliminated. Unluckily, someone that played better lost. Usually it does happen in brackets like this. But really, I'm super excited for the top 8 that we have. And I think we do have the best from every group.
Yeah, our top 8 is locked in. I think maybe the biggest surprises out there are Gen Aslan, Predator not making it through. But when you talk about our top 8, Hugo, Inthrill, Hive, Hunter, Eternity, Lucas GSM, Demas, SB, and of course that man right there on screen, Broken, who definitely made it closer than he would have liked here in game number 1, but Beneficious was just not able to close things out in this set. It was the way he started his day, was a 3-2 win over Beneficious, and it's the way that he ended the day, a 3-0 win over Beneficious.
Yeah, and the most impressive thing to me was SB today, but the second most impressive thing to me was the fact that you just remembered all top 8 players. I don't know what vitamins you take that makes your brain work that well. I barely remember who played yesterday, but yeah, I mean, I'm really hyped for tomorrow and for Sunday. Plus, we're moving into a little bit of a different format with that best of 7 coming in.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. We're doing best of 7s. Each competitor gets to bring 3 new decks to the competition, but the way that it works, you have to win with all decks. Those decks repeat 6 of the same cards, but it's a best of 7 instead of a best of, which means you have to win 4 games in 3. So what happens then is once you've won with all 3 of your decks, you can go back and choose 1 deck to beat, and that is for your 4th and final win. And SB from D Mon to join once again. Demas, Lucas M, Hugo CR, Inthrill, One Hive Hunter, and Eternity. Very exciting stuff. Be back at the exact same time, exact same place tomorrow, but instead of doing best of 5s, we're doing best of 7s. 4 best of 7s tomorrow. Excuse me, I think it's 3 best of 7s tomorrow, and then of course on Sunday we will have our finals.
Yeah, that's Sunday, man. Semifinals and finals. I am so ready for it. We do have to stop tomorrow first to get to that, but I'm just so hyped. And again, I can't believe we're already in that final weekend. Yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better top 8, to be honest.
I couldn't agree more, man. And yeah, it is going to be 4 best of 7s tomorrow, and those are the 8 players right there. And we don't have that bracket laid out exactly, guys, yet, but I believe a lot of first places going up, second places to start things off, as that is usually works with, of course, all these guys walking away with money. They all got $1,000 in their pocket, but $30,000 more are up for grabs this Saturday and Sunday.
And a lot of those second places are just as scary as the first place. Like if you match up against Demas or Eternity, it's just as scary as someone that won their group, right? I mean, I don't think there's any easy matchups moving forward. Obviously, there's less experience in Inthrill and Broken, but overall, you don't really have that big of an advantage being the first seed over the second seed.
I know. That's what's been so cool about this tournament not being an invitational. It's been all about qualifying stages and stages and stages. Over 100 players, almost 100 players started off, and now we are down to our Elite 8, guys. So very exciting stuff this weekend. We'll be back Saturday and Sunday. Same time, same place, 9 a.m. Pacific, and of course 6 p.m. Central European time. This is our bracket. Awesome. Thank you so much, production. This is what we're going to be seeing. Lucas GSM and Eternity. Then One Hive Hunter going up against Broken. The winners of those two sets will go on to finals. We are done with double elimination, Eric, and talk me through the bottom of our bracket.
Yeah, I was just about to say that bottom half is stacked. You have Hugo, Dimas, and SB all on one side, and Intro, someone that has played more matches than anyone. So if there's someone that got used to this format, it is him. And I am very, very hyped for that bottom part of the bracket. The top as well, but that bottom side is stacked.
It is very, very stacked, and we'll see. What do you guys think? Top or the bottom? Who's going to make it all the way through to that big prize at the end of the... Make sure you subscribe on the GameStars YouTube channel. Click notification, ring that bell so that every single time we go, you guys know when. And of course, follow us on Twitter at GameStarsCR. That's Eric Benamou at EB7. I am Andrew Guy for GameStars League. It's been a blast. Have our finals this weekend. Best of 7 Saturday, best of 7 Sunday. We'll be back tomorrow morning, but until then, keep on clashing.